thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Join us as we dive into the deep end of the unexplainable and try to piece together what happened. You are listening to Locations Unknown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Locations Unknown. I'm your co-host, Joe Erod, and with me, as always, is a guy who loves all music except for country, Mike Van de Bogart.
Oh, thank you, Joe. And country is growing on me.
Okay.
Not as bad as I thought it was.
I love that I didn't even know if that was real.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea. I
used
assumed.
to not be a big fan of it, but it's growing on me.
I don't like spring break country.
Like pop country?
Yeah, I like good, like old school country.
Yeah. Like Red Solo Cup.
Yeah, no, that's spring break country. Like, she keyed my truck. I have a truck. My truck. Like that country. I can't stand it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Joe, and thank you to all of our amazing listeners for tuning in once again. We have a different episode for you today. So,
It's a special one.
Joe, why don't you fill them in?
I will.
Our episode.
So we have a special episode today where we brought on one of our huge fans, Jenna Kopp. I just say that because she called in and left a message. She works for the Great Lakes Raptor Center, and she left a pretty interesting voicemail. Me and Mike were intrigued, so we had her on. We just did the interview. It was a lot of fun. It was fantastic. We joked a lot about raptors. We learned a ton about conservation. It's a new organization, and she's fundraising, so we're going to hope that our listeners love birds as much as we do.
Yes.
And contribute to this great organization. But, yeah, without further ado, I should say, I don't normally do this part, so I'm like missing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to call into the show, dial 208-391-6913, and you can call with... if you run a Raptor Center, or if you have a cool story of something that happened to you on the trail, anything, you might end up on the show.
Yes. And you can visit, you want to support the show,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, you pick it up from here.
Yeah, we've got you can join our Patreon account, Spreaker subscriptions, Apple subscriptions. We have a store. I don't have it up in front of me, so if money's tight, you can just... like and follow and share, spread the word of Locations Unknown.
We have a store.
We have a store, I think.
Our hats are back. Mike found a hat supplier.
We found a hat supplier. I feel bad. We had some Patreon supporters that have been waiting for hats for a very long time. So those are in the mail. You should have gotten emails.
Boom. Sorry for the delay, but it took a bit.
Our old hat supplier went out of business when COVID hit.
Yep.
And it's tough finding one, and I spent a lot of time. Joe had the perfect hat made, and it's actually really hard to get the logo.
It's
stitched onto a hat and make it look good.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It should be easier.
Yes.
I think our logo is kind of difficult. That's part of it.
It is. I wonder who designed it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who it was. It couldn't have been me. Anyway, without further ado, just tune in, listen to our great interview with Jenna Kopp, and thank you very much for all listening to the show. All right, everyone, and we want to welcome Jenna Kopp, is the executive director of the Great Lakes Raptor Center. She has worked with raptors or birds of prey for over 8 years in education and training. She is passionate about all things wildlife and outdoors. Jenna has a bachelor's in biology and has been hiking and camping since she was 12 years old. Jenna has been to many national parks, including but not limited to Rocky Mountain National Park, North Cascades National Park, Mount Rainier National Park, Voyageurs National Park, and Yellowstone National Park. In her spare time, she is a complete badass in martial arts, rock climbing, and photography, mostly of nature. Jenna, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's really fun. I actually just got back from martial arts training too this evening.
Awesome.
I appreciate that though. Thank you. I try to be as much of a badass as possible.
What type of martial arts are you doing?
I do a variety, but mostly sea lot. It's kind of rooted in Indonesia, but I've done Muay Thai, Taekwondo, all that fun jazz. So I kind of like to dabble.
Awesome.
Sounds awesome.
Yes. So tell us
Thank you.
about your role as the executive director at the Great Lakes Raptor Center.
Yeah, so the Great Lakes Raptor Center is fairly new. We kind of recently started this year, but kind of like you said, I've been working with Raptors for a really long time, and I actually worked with Raptors in Minnesota for a while, so fairly close to you guys. I've always wanted to kind of start my own place and have a lot of people that have always backed me up. And so right now we're kind of in our fundraising stages where we're trying to get together enough money so that we can start providing birds who are non-releasable with homes. And a lot of times people ask, well, like, what's a non-releasable bird? 80% of a lot of the bird cases that come into wildlife rehab are because of human causes. So things like rodenticide, lead poisoning, soccer nets is one, car collisions. A lot of raptors unfortunately succumb to just by us existing and being around. And so something that is really important to the Great Lakes Raptor Center and to a lot of rehabilitation centers is educating people on like how can we better prevent this from happening. A lot of the wildlife clinics all over the country and all over the world get overwhelmed by the numbers that they see coming into wildlife rehab because again, people either just don't know how to prevent it, don't know what to do when they do find a sick and injured raptor. So a lot of this can be prevented by just simply educating people. So a large part of my career has been basically getting these non-releasable birds that come into a clinic. Let's say they have a permanent wing injury or they can't go back out into the wild for some reason. And if they have the right demeanor, you have to have a very specific skill set to be able to train that bird to then go out and see audiences and then educate people on these things on how they can better help raptors. And those educational ambassadors are so important because if we come to a school and we try to teach parents and kids about raptors, if I come up there with just a slideshow, a lot of people tune out. It doesn't have the same impact. But if I come into that classroom with a real life eagle and I say, hey, like this eagle almost died from lead poisoning and now she can't go back out into the wild, that people can connect with that animal a lot more. So the education is really important in that aspect. And so a big part of our mission is getting those educational birds, providing them a home and taking them out around Michigan where we are and helping to better conserve the raptors that we have in our environment.
That's awesome. How many people do you have working for you at the center?
So because we're very, very small right now, we have a good board. So we have around 6 people on our board right now. It's basically all of us doing a lot of volunteer work because we're so fresh and new. We can't really pay a lot of employees to go out and do these things yet, which is part of the fundraising effort and part of the struggles of being a startup nonprofit when we're first starting out. But that's why we are looking to get ourselves out there and kind of get the word out so that we can really start getting into the community and start educating people.
That's awesome. So how did you get into all of this?
Great question. I answer this question a little bit differently every time I get asked it, but I can kind of trace it back to like 2 key events. Because I've been a super big hiker, big camper. When I was 14, I saw a bald eagle fly over my head for the first time and I was like, whoa, that is super, super cool. And for some reason, like it just snowballed for me. Like I started doing all this research and then I got really into dog training. And I was like, wow, operant conditioning and love of birds can actually have a career, which is very specific. But I basically started interning and volunteering at a lot of different facilities in my area. And a lot of this work is more based on having experience than your degree. So I went to school for biology, but I didn't get into birds after really I had already gotten my degree. And so employers are really just looking for like do you have experience doing this? So I just volunteered at a lot of raptor centers near me, with a lot of wildlife as well. I have experience with training hawks and falcons, but also like foxes and raccoons and all that fun jazz. So that's kind of the very short and sweet version of how I got into it, because it just kind of snowballs. Once you're in there, you're in there.
Sure. So were you like originally starting like humane societies or other animal shelters?
Yeah. When I was 14, I started like volunteering at like summer camps just for wildlife, where you're not even touching any animals. And then, once they trust you with that, then you can care for the reptiles, and, and then they trust you with that. And, and then it kind of snowballs. So like I volunteered a lot at a horse stable as well. So I did a lot of horseback riding when I was in high school. A lot of times my family will tease me that I used to be a horse girl, and I will deny that.
I mean, you're technically a horse girl.
I know. I really hate to admit it.
But now you're the raptor girl.
I know. It sounds much cooler.
It does.
Yes.
Sorry, I was going to redeem myself.
Yeah.
So I have a question more in line with the actual raptors. So I'll be the first to tell you I don't know a lot about birds. So I know a very
That's why I'm here.
So can you just kind of fill us in kind of the spectrum of birds that fall under the category of raptor? Because I think like eagles and things like that are in there, or hawks, but I really don't know. And the birds are. We just had in our front yard about a month ago. We had a red-tailed hawk that was just sitting in our front yard, just shredding something apart. And I sat there the whole time watching. It was so cool to watch him just just stand there like nothing
with your
going
kids.
on.
Just
they were like trying to get outside. They wanted to go pet the bird.
You're like, it's literally murdering something.
Yeah, literally just stay inside. Don't go by the bird. So yeah, tell us about like what a raptor is and all that.
Absolutely. I can definitely do that. So raptor, basically it literally means to grab or to seize. So that can kind of clue you into like where this is going. There's basically three things that define a raptor. They have to have talons that they actively use to hunt with, right? So those really sharp, sort of quote unquote claws, a lot of people call them on the end, but they're technically called talons. The second thing is they need to have a very specific curved over beak. So that really pointy tip at the end. And a lot of people will ask me, well, parrots have curved beaks, but the difference is that the parrot's beak curves much more over, and it has a very strong bottom beak as well to help crush things. And the raptor beak is more meant to like rip and shred things. And they're not using their beaks to kill things. They're just using it to rip up the meat or the flesh. So their feet is kind of like a fork and holds the food down. And then their beak is like the knife and kind of rips it up. And then the last thing that all raptors have is really, really excellent eyesight. I could go into a whole podcast for an hour just on their eyesight.
Go ahead.
But to kind of sum it up, they have such amazing eyesight that in eagles and falcons and things like that, we have a certain amount of cones in our eyes that allow us to see color and things like that. They have a lot more of those. So they can see not only super, super far, but they can see things in much higher definition than we can. And when you will film something in slow motion and then you see the lights flicker in the video,
Yes.
sometimes after you play it back, that's how they're always seeing things, because their eyes are so attuned to movement. So they're able to see things move, a lot easier than we can, which makes it much easier for them to hunt. So, in the Jurassic Park movies where he's like, don't move. They can't see you if you don't move.
Yeah.
There's some truth to that.
Nice.
They're very attuned to movement. It's very incredible. There's been a lot of studies done on, how far they can exactly see. And I personally don't like to put statistics to numbers with that sort of thing, because we're always learning, and it's probably species dependent as well. But the University of Minnesota Raptor Center did do a study where they had a they basically trained one of the raptors to target to a checkered board, and they would make the checkerboard smaller and smaller and smaller, and they would get it a distance away. And they were basically able to figure out that a raptor can theoretically read the headline of a newspaper from a football field away, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's also
insane.
terrifying. I'm so glad they don't attack us.
I'm envious as someone who has an astigmatism.
Yeah.
I can't see
Right.
the lettering of a newspaper right in front of my face. So
You're right. I know. It's pretty crazy, and they all have that in common. And even owls who hunt at night, their eyesight is still very good, just in different ways. They're the reversal. So the eagles and falcons have a lot of cones in their eyes, but the owls have the opposite, where they don't have a lot of cones, but they have a lot of rods, which helps them see color. Helps them see light and things like that. So in the dark time, they can see a lot more light coming into their eyes than we can. And, their eyes, a lot of owls have eyes that are so big that it takes up around 80% of their head alone.
Oh, wow.
So their eyes are kind of shaped like a light bulb, and the part that you're seeing is the small part of the light bulb. The big part, like the part that would actually light up, is like all the back of their head.
wow.
It's pretty.
I did not know that.
That makes them more terrifying.
Yes.
Although
Yes.
one of my favorite things are, if you look up on the internet, owl legs.
Owl legs?
Yeah, if you've seen owl's legs.
Oh my god! Don't get me started on that one.
They're
because a lot of
hilarious.
people,
We'll have to look at that.
Yeah,
at some
they're
point.
like, it's almost like they have like pants on, and you lift them up and they have really long
Yes.
legs. It's really funny looking.
There's this, I don't know if you guys have seen this like old meme, but there was this whole like apples, what the hell? Owls can sit crisscross applesauce. Have you ever seen those?
No.
Where it's this really old picture of I think there's an eagle owl that is sitting kind of like this, and it looks like he's sitting cross-legged. Yes, that one right there.
So that's real.
So people think that they can sit crisscross applesauce. He's not actually sitting crisscross applesauce. It's just that their legs are so long that he can hide all of that in the fluff. And so it drove all of us educators crazy for like years and years, because I'd have so many people coming up to me and being like, they really cross their legs? I'm like, he's not crossing his legs. He just has really
Look at their legs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Look at their legs. I love it.
I had never realized that.
I know. I saw it the first time once, and I couldn't
I
believe
kind
it.
of just assumed they had stubby little legs because you only ever saw their feet.
No.
Yep.
And it makes sense. They need that to
Yeah.
be able to reach their prey, right? Because it's always just on a reach.
That's really funny.
And I will tell you though, their run is very stupid. They cannot run very well. They try their best. It's almost like a penguin, like trying to waddle it as fast as they possibly can. It's
They're better in the air than
This
on the
is
ground.
fantastic. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, except for the exception of burrowing owls, which are literally meant to run on the ground. But there's always an exception, right?
Burrowing out. So that's what I love about, I was going to say the cool thing about raptors is I was thinking about, because I was up in the Canadian Rockies years ago hiking, and it was the first time I saw golden eagles, which I always thought was just, there's the one running.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Bounce around.
Hold on, Mike. I will let you finish, but
Yeah.
might I suggest on the Great Lakes Raptors, you guys do a TikTok account where you just show owl legs and owls running, and
Yeah,
you
there
might
you go.
get all the money you need.
Yes. Just steal other people's content. And
Yes.
Be like,
Oh,
look.
100%. No, repost. Reposting is okay.
Yeah.
All right. So go on. Golden
That's so
Eagle, Mike.
true.
Oh,
Sorry.
no. So, yeah, I was up in the Canadian Rockies hiking, and it was the first time we were sitting having a beer at the end of the day by this lake, and these golden eagles were like just flying down and grabbing these massive fish right out of the water. And I thought a golden eagle was like a made up like thing for mascots. I didn't think they were real birds, but it got me thinking about just raptors in general have such a, their food. Some are primarily like they'll get fish out of the water. Some will go for, small game on the ground. Some attack birds right out of the air. And, you know, they're scavengers, they're predators. It's just kind of amazing how, and some adapt to urban environments really well. And some are, it's amazing.
Insane. And golden eagles in particular, one of my favorite things to talk about them is when we think of fast birds, we think of like the peregrine falcon. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the peregrine falcon, you're like, this bird is obviously like evolved for speed. It's got like the super pointy wings and the slim body. When you look at a golden eagle, you're like, that bird should not go fast. Like it's a big bird. The golden eagle can dive up to 100 miles per hour, which is insane because the females weigh up to 14, 15 pounds.
Yeah.
That's a lot of bird. And what they do is they get up super high in the air, they spot mountain goats, and they literally punch mountain goats off cliffs. So they dive up to these speeds and they quite literally punch. You can find videos there's like some really poor old videos online. Wow. But they literally punch these goats off cliffs, and because they can't carry them, one of the biggest myths about raptors is that they can carry your dogs and cats off. They cannot. Hollow bones, they don't weigh that much, so you know it's it's just
14 pounds carrying like 100 pounds is gonna actually
maybe
work.
Like a chihuahua.
Oh geez, sorry.
I
gotta see if I can turn the audio off real quick. There we go.
But they just can't, nor do they want to go after your pets. But they'll punch these mountain goats that we're seeing, and they will grab on and kind of ride with them down the mountain.
Jeez.
You know, because the goat is basically dragging the eagle down, but the eagle will like glide down with it while it's like bouncing off rocks, and then they scavenge it once it hits the bottom. But they're pretty powerful, amazing birds, and you can even just see through this video like how their size is pretty insane.
Oh yeah, they're building up the drama big time. Holy cow!
What an amazing adaptation for an animal. I mean, probably took it millions of years to figure out, hey, we can fly at light speed and hit these animals off the mountain and then eat them. Like, that's just amazing to me that they've figured that out.
Yeah, I mean, right. You can see kind of right there.
A baby one. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
I had no clue. I never knew that.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. One of the most wild questions I ever got was, from a kid, and kids ask crazy questions. And the kid was like, if there was a raptor that was going to kill and eat you, which one would it be? And I was like, well, they're not going to kill and eat you. And he goes, but if they were going to kill and eat you? I said, well, probably if you're hiking, if a golden eagle comes and punches me off a cliff, like I'm pretty done.
Yeah. You should have said something like the one that lives in the tree above your room or something that. Just to freak him out. Don't ask stupid questions,
I mean,
kid.
one of these birds wouldn't hesitate to scavenge someone who's passed away out in the woods, I'm assuming.
No, definitely.
Meal's a meal.
They're opportunistic. Like, absolutely. And especially bald eagles are big time scavengers. I always laugh because everyone loves the bald eagle, right? Because it's our national symbol. But honestly, like they're freeloaders. They do not.
I remember the first time I learned that they're like more scavengers.
Or
they're
really the smartest bird.
Yeah, they could be
work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. So one of the stories that I was going to come into this, and it's kind of a good segue. Because bald eagles are so opportunistic and very much like, I'm going to take what I can get. One of the bald eagles that I used to work with in Minnesota, when she fledged her nest, mom and dad kick them out. They'll continue to kind of provide for a little bit, but for the most part, like the youngsters are going to hang around and kind of beg for food. Mm-hmm. And this was I don't know if you guys have ever been to Lutzen, Minnesota. It's kind of like up on the North Shore.
No. Mostly around the Boundary Waters area. That's pretty much where I've been.
Yeah. It's kind of like, if you were to continue up along the North Shore up north, it's very touristy.
Okay.
There's a lot of bald eagles up there. She lands down, somebody throws her a fish, and so bald eagle realizes, like, I can get free food from people. And so this bald eagle ended up on the news because she was flying up to people and grabbing people's pants and shoes and literally like a quote unquote attacking, right?
Yeah.
And begging for food because again, like they're scavengers, they are opportunistic. And when you're young and you don't know how to hunt yet, most raptors don't make it their first 2 years of life because it's really, really hard to learn how to hunt. It's like an 80% mortality rate when they're young. And unfortunately, a lot of times when people feed wild animals, they learn very quickly that they can get what they want by begging from people, quote unquote, attacking people. And so somebody literally like called the cops. Cop car rolls up. She jumps on top of this cop car and surfs on top of the cop car for over a mile. Just like this is the like absolutely
like
ridiculous
easier than
behavior.
Flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for
So
real.
the videos where we see people fishing and they're tossing the fish up, you're not supposed to do that.
No, you're not, because they learn that they can just get their food from people. And then, this bald eagle, like she's non-releasable. That, she's a perfectly healthy bird, like very beautiful, big female. So she realistically, like her genetics would have been really, really good for that population, but she's not in the pool anymore because she can't be outside attacking people for food, and you can't unlearn that. And they attempted to, like they put her with a bunch of other bald eagles and they try to condition them to fly. And every time they would try to get her to fly, she would land on the ground and like run back up to people. So she just can't be in the wild anymore. And one of the biggest things that we're seeing is instead of physical injuries, we see a lot of mental injuries now, or imprinting, acclimation, getting too socialized to people. There was another bird that we got in that literally somebody kept as a pet because they found an owl that was a baby, and instead of calling a rehab center, they decided to keep it. And literally they put this owl with their 5-year-old daughter, and it slept in her bed for like however many days.
Oh, just geniuses.
Which is super dangerous.
Yeah, that's just jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
every time I feel bad about like maybe I'm not that great of a parent, I hear a story like that. I'm like, nah, I'm doing pretty good.
You're not letting wild animals sleep in your kid's bed?
I know, right? I actually get a little weirded out every now and then.
Baby owl.
Yeah.
I have a golden retriever, and I let the dog sleep in the room sometimes. And I'm a little weirded out by that. I'm like, we're just letting animals live with our children, but like it's a golden retriever. Like his main job is to be as happy. Yeah, his main job is to be as happier than everybody in the whole world every day. So like I can't imagine just like a killing machine.
A friend, a funny story. Dan, one of our friends, his dad lives up in northern Wisconsin, and one day this juvenile turkey showed up on his property and wouldn't leave, and became like part of the family. And it was walking around his property with his other dogs, and thought it was a dog. So for a long time, he had this turkey that just wouldn't leave.
Yeah,
he wasn't feeding it, but it just showed up one day, and then it became one with the other dogs. It's hilarious. It was funny, but
if it's the right time and the right place, the bird can imprint, and then you have an imprinted bird, and they can. I mean, there was a case that we saw where a bald eagle had actually grabbed a red-tailed hawk chick, brought it back to its nest to feed this red-tailed hawk chick to its young. This bald eagle parent got confused, right? When he landed in the nest, he's like, wait, which one was the food that I caught? Which one is my kid? So instead of feeding this chick to the other bald eagle chicks, it just started feeding the red-tailed hawk chick. And then the red-tailed hawk chick got imprinted on the bald eagles. And when that red-tailed hawk chick fledged, the people started seeing this red-tailed hawk like hanging out around bald eagles because it was imprinted on bald eagles, right? So it's very interesting. Like they can, they imprint on people, they can imprint on other birds. if we're not careful, as rehabilitators, we have to put on like ghillie suits. We have to use puppets to feed babies. You can't talk at all, because if they imprint on you, like, you can't release them.
Wow.
It's game over.
So can they imprint at any time, or is it like usually in a specific window in their life?
It's usually a specific window. So it's typically when they're babies, and for each bird, it varies a little bit. But basically from the moment that they open their eyes, the imprinting process starts.
Okay.
And, there's definitely a point where it becomes less likely that they're going to get imprinted. But, even when they're young, even if they've been with their parents for a while when they've been young, if we as rehabilitators get them, they're still in that like young curiosity stage. So even if the imprinting process is over, they can still get socialized to us really easily, right? So even though they'll still know they're an owl, they can still like think, oh, people are great because food, right? And that's what happened with that bald eagle who was being fed by people. So regardless,
when you put them with other birds, that bald eagle's like, hey guys, like if you actually follow me, it's really easy. Like,
yeah, like I ended up in a facility where they feed me for free all the time.
You just go up to them and they give you stuff. You don't have to work so hard.
Sounds like it's a really difficult process to rehabilitate. What's the failure rate on that? If you're doing everything right, that it still imprints the wrong thing, and then you can't release it then.
Yeah, and there's not really because every rehabilitation center has a different, basically process and rules. There's not really a statistic on that specifically, but I will say that if you, don't wear the ghillie suit, you don't use a puppet, and you just like hand feed them like as you're gonna imprint the bird.
Yeah.
But if you do it correctly, it's not that difficult to get a baby back out into the wild. I mean, thousands of rehabilitators do it every year. As long as you're just careful and you don't let them see that you're a human and that you mean food, they typically are going to remain fearful. Because baby birds, like their vision, we talk about raptors have really good eyesight, but when they're little, they can't really tell the difference between like mom and dad and like what a puppet is, right? They don't look at the puppet and be like, something's off here. But as long as you're careful, you can get them back out. But unfortunately, the public doesn't know that. So people have the best intentions in mind, but a lot of times, as you guys probably know from like bear attacks and things like that, if it's cute and cuddly, people are like, oh, I want it to be my best friend, right?
Yeah.
Which is where we got like the owl sleeping in the bed. Yeah. And, they actually chucked that owl back out into the wild when she got too big. And, where I was working at the time got called of like, hey, there's this owl that's like flying down and like grabbing people's like hats and like heads. And because the owl's like confused, it doesn't know like, whoa, what happened? Where am I?
Yeah, I used to be in this cozy bed.
Raised by people. Yeah. Right? What happened? So we really try to like advocate for letting wildlife be wildlife. And I'll tell you guys, one of my biggest pet peeves and gripes is in the national parks is watching people feed the wildlife. It's incredibly unsafe, like especially in like Yellowstone. People throw it like it would seem obvious, right? But for some reason, it just doesn't click for people all the time.
Yeah, well, those are the people who put owls in beds with their 5-year-old.
Yeah. No, we talk about it all the time. The videos of people that get really close to like bison.
Yeah.
And then you see them just like fly through the air. And
it's like a truck.
Or that family that put a baby, like a calf, in their car because it was by itself.
Insane.
And drove it to the ranger station, and everyone was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like don't.
Why is that in your car? Yes. Like, leave wildlife alone, even if it's away from its parents. That's nature.
Yeah.
Don't interfere.
It's doing its thing.
Yeah, it's out in the wild.
Yeah.
So I want to ask this as like an unofficial nature version of TMZ. Has there ever been a rehabilitation person that's purposely imprinted with a bird because they wanted to?
Oh, wow.
Like a
That's
scandal?
a really good question.
A scandal?
I don't know. Because like
scandal?
14-year-old me would be like, I want a bird to imprint on me.
I want a pet eagle.
Exactly.
When
100%.
you're a kid.
Like,
Yes.
oops, it can't get released now. I guess it just loves me.
Unofficially, but from observation, I will tell you that like there hasn't been like not that like
Jenna, why are
official
you sweating so
scandals
much?
I know, I'm like, that really wasn't me.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just kidding.
No, I will say that there are unfortunately a lot of rehabilitators out there that might keep the animal a little longer than they need to. I've seen that more with raccoons than anything because
Really?
raccoons are really cute.
Yeah, trash pandas are awesome.
They're trash pandas. Yeah, they. But you know, like. Rehabilitators all really have the best animals' interest in mind because you don't go into that field without, you know, wanting to help the animals. But there's always somebody out there that's.
Oh, I'm just trying to drum up some drama for clicks. Obviously, just trying to figure out the dark side of rehabilitation and write a coffee table book.
I will tell you that there's been more like crazy like. There was I heard a story about somebody who was a volunteer at a facility and she loved this bird so much that she like snuck in and got into the bird's enclosure and like slept in the enclosure with it. And then like nothing happened, but it's like a little crazy, a little weird.
That is a little weird. I thought you were going to say they got like married to the bird or something.
Yeah.
They got engaged.
Yeah.
Seems like a thing that would happen in Japan.
Why Japan?
I don't know. They seem to always be into weird stuff like that.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yep, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that now. But I always feel like
three Japanese listeners are gonna be very mad.
I feel like I've heard stories of them like marrying AIs and marrying computers and stuff like that coming out of China or Japan. I've heard stories of this. So if someone's gonna, or in the zoo, remember in the zoo they painted dogs like lions. Did you see this story?
No.
There's some zoo in China or Japan that like had a lion enclosure and they were dogs and they just painted them to look like lions and like I'm not making this up.
Oh, I did not see that.
That's why I said somewhere over there. I'm gonna look this up because I feel like I'm crazy now. I swear this is
well.
real.
While you're looking that up,
yeah, you keep asking real questions.
We'll get this back into a correct path here. So I have a question for you. What's the largest raptor and the smallest raptor, and what's the difference between the size?
So, and you can look this up too as I'm saying the bird species, but Andean condors are one of the most massive birds in the world. If you can find a like side by side by a human.
Oh, there's one.
Yeah, there you go.
Whoa. That is a wild picture.
That is huge.
Yes, they're very,
that's the size of that lady. Like literally.
And I will say that some of these photos will like specifically kind of take advantage of an angle to make it look bigger than it actually is.
Diagram.
But you can kind of see like, the diagram there of how large their wingspan can get up to. But they're very, very big. And then for smallest raptor, one of the smallest raptors is a black-footed falcon. If you look that up, they're super tiny. And if you can find one on like somebody's hand, then you'll get a better perspective because close up they look bigger than they actually are. But if you can find one next to somebody, it'll give you a better idea. But they're super small. Oh, that's not it. Oh. If you type black-footed falcon on the glove. Nope. No, I guess there's not really any good photos of them.
They're so small we can't see it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like.
I'll scroll through here.
Like
I'll find one.
They're like the size. They're like a little bit bigger than a smaller sparrow.
Okay.
Oh wow, that's small. So
yeah, they're
prey. What do they eat?
Insects.
Oh.
And so the smallest falcon in North America is an American kestrel. Black-footed falcons are not in North America, but the American kestrels which is the smallest bird that we have, they are light enough to where they weigh about the same amount of grams as a pack of Skittles. So they're very, very, very light. And they're falcons.
Yeah.
And they will hunt. American kestrels will also go after like dragonflies and things like that. And they actually follow dragonfly migrations into when the winter comes, which is very cool.
What was that one called
even
again?
Though American kestrel. It's with the K.
There we go.
Kestrel. Yes, they're very pretty.
Oh, that's cool.
Very pretty birds. Yeah, and they are sexually dimorphic in color. So the males will have those very beautiful blue tips and that kind of reddish back, and then the females are like almost completely brown. In most raptors, you cannot tell the difference between a male and a female based off of just color. So that's very cool.
So this is a male and this one's a female right here?
Those are both males still.
Those are both males. Okay.
Yes, those are both. I'm trying to see I haven't seen a female in any of these photos yet, which is interesting. If you scroll back up, there's a picture with a male and a female. Well, that little kestrel right there on the left of that photo is a female.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
Yes. But they do this very cool behavior called hovering. So, hummingbirds will hover, but they are so light and able to keep themselves still that they can actually hover above these fields and look directly down. And yeah, right there's a good video of them doing it. And they can keep their heads completely still while their body kind of moves around their head so that the air isn't like jostling their head around, and they can still focus. And so a lot of times they'll be hunting, mice, insects, things like that. They're big enough to be able to take down a mouse, but one of their biggest threats is pesticides because they eat a lot of insects, and a lot of farmers will spray their crops with the pesticides. And so the American kestrel population is actually declining in Michigan because of that. They're not endangered yet, but we try to get the word out of, anytime you like garden or anything like that, you want to make sure that, that's a great example. You see how his body, his body is moving around his head because they can literally like lock their heads into place, and those vertebrae literally like rotate around.
Oh, so he's just in the wind. Wow, his head's like a gimbal.
I was just thinking, that's like a gimbal camera.
That is
if you've ever seen
cool.
One. That is really cool.
It's amazing.
That is absolutely wild. Look at him just chilling out looking for mice.
Yeah.
They just look. And I mean, like, I don't even really like need to put words to it. Like, they just kind of show you how amazing they are, right? It's pretty incredible. When we have them on the glove and we're showing kids, we do what we call make them belly dance, because you can move your hand up and down and their head will stay still. So it kind of looks like their belly dance. The kids are like, whoa, what that?
That is so cool.
That's amazing. You go from the Andean condor that's the size bigger than a person to the kestrel that weighs the pack of a Skittle pack.
They can hover.
And they all have different roles. The condors are super important to, getting rid of the gross carry-on that we don't want. And vultures in general they don't get enough attention because they're kind of like bees in a way that if we don't have any vultures, we're kind of screwed. In places like India, where they had a very sharp decline in vultures because of a chemical called diclofenac. So these farmers would give their cattle diclofenac, which is an anti-inflammatory drug. And then when the cattle would die in the field, vultures come and clean up the dead cattle for them, which is like a good mutual benefit. But the problem is now that they have these chemicals in them, the vultures die from the drug. And because of that sharp decline, they saw an increase in rabies. They saw an increase in different types of bacterial diseases, viruses. And so people are figuring out like we need our vultures around because they keep us like physically healthy and safe.
So what you're saying is it's probably not good to spray chemicals all over our
and
food.
feed all our food.
Yeah.
A bunch
Right?
of pest
Yeah.
chemicals.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah, Monsanto.
You would think.
Yeah, it's
But
that's crazy. It's amazing how everything's so tied in. That the farmers, they probably are just, that's their livelihood. I get it. They want their cattle to live. They're not thinking about all the other wildlife, but when their cattle dies, probably it took a while for people to connect the dots. Like, oh, the vultures are eating that and they're dying from this.
Well, and you think about long term, how many more cattle die from like rabies infested, whatever.
Well, and it probably
disease.
the human toll. I mean, a lot of those diseases you were talking about would have an impact on humans too. So.
Yeah, they do. And a lot of times too, like, in North America, we don't necessarily have the diclofenac problem as much, but we have lead poisoning problem because a lot of, as a wildlife advocate, I have no problem with hunters. They are great for the environment, managing the white-tailed deer population. But when hunters use lead bullets, these lead bullets, they fragment.
Yeah.
And so they fragment into the environment, into the meat. And a lot of hunters will dress the animal in the field, right? They'll take out the organs and then they'll bring back the actual food. And so bald eagles and vultures in particular are smart enough to where they hear the gunshot and they literally come flop because they're like, oh, this means free food. But they're consuming these lead fragments and a piece of lead that is less, like, smaller than a size of, like, think of like the tip of a pencil. That's enough to kill a full-grown bald eagle.
Really?
And so we're seeing like this huge influx of lead poisonings, and it's not an easy thing to cure in rehab. If they have a certain amount of lead, there's not a whole lot that can be done, and if there is something to be done, they basically have to go through a very intense process of getting that lead out of their system, and that's not easy on a bird's fragile body. And the vultures in particular are really suffering from it because they are only scavengers. And we talked about the Andean condors, but there's California condors that there are not a lot left of, and lead poisoning is one of the biggest concerns. The California condors they're the only condors that we have in North America.
Yeah.
And if we lose them, we're not, you'd only get that one chance, right?
Yeah.
And it's tough because they're not cute and cuddly like a panda. So it's harder.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly.
To care.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, that's
Right?
pretty terrifying looking thing.
Yeah.
It's like a creature from
They're
Stranger
like-
Things.
they're very peculiar looking,
Yeah.
but they have such an important job
Sure.
Yeah.
in this in our ecosystem. And so it's unfortunate that an animal that has such an important job isn't that cute and cuddly, because again, it's harder to get people to care.
Well, it's amazing you mentioned the stuff about lead, because I was actually going to ask you, how are they getting poisoned by lead? Having grown up in Wisconsin around people that grouse hunt, pheasant hunt, I've never once in my life heard about, because what people will typically do is, like you said, they'll field dress out there and they'll just throw the wings and the guts just out into the woods, because scavenger. But that's a really amazing point that I had never even connected the dots to, and I don't think I would bet probably, at least here in Wisconsin, 95% of the hunters don't know that, or have never been educated on that. Like, I don't think I did hunter safety when I was a kid, and
I'm going to do a humble brag here. I knew lead was bad for the environment.
I knew that.
I didn't know how, so I actually buy only stainless steel or steel bullets.
Joe.
yeah.
I'll be honest though, I had no idea why. I just remember hearing it. I was like, all right, I'll buy the bullets that aren't lead.
Everyone knows lead is bad. Like,
Yes.
people shouldn't eat lead. We know that lead pipes are bad.
Yep.
Everyone doesn't want to drink water out of lead pipes. But yeah, that's amazing.
Correct.
And you would think like the DNR in Wisconsin and things like that would, educate when they're getting their license to go hunting. Like, oh, hey, by the way, if If you field dress, maybe if you have to use lead shot, maybe take everything with you and dispose of it, properly, and not just throw it back into the woods.
Well, no, Mike, this is your opportunity.
Yeah.
Right now. You're speaking to the masses.
I mean, hunters are generally older generation and probably don't listen to us. So
it's interesting because like I've been to hunting expos. Like we have brought like eagles and stuff like to hunting expos.
That's cool.
To be like, this is the birds that you're affecting, right? Yeah. And a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like you're exactly like you're saying. And this has been a problem for a very long time. This isn't a new problem. Mm-hmm. And so that's why, Great Lakes Raptor Center, that's why our mission is what it is, because we want to be able to educate people and get people to better understand like what they can do to help the environment. Because, there's that saying like, there's just one person can make a big difference because all those people add up.
Yeah.
And to your point too,
it's just all about education.
To your point too, and even Mike's, I would say 90% of people, if you just tell them that, are like, oh, okay, I just won't do that anymore. Yeah. And they just are ignorant
100%.
and not by choice. It's just like, if you don't know something, you don't know something. And if no one's told you, then you're not going to know. But yeah, it's such an easy thing to not do.
Yeah.
And most of them be like, all right, yeah, sure, absolutely. I had no idea. So I had a quick question about that. When you're getting like an eagle that has lead poisoning and the ones that survive, what is that process like? From the instant they ingest that little piece of lead, what does like the clock look like? Are they getting sick that day? Is it like a long, painful, drawn out process? How does it work?
So that question is kind of hard to answer because it depends on the bird and it depends on the amount of lead that they've consumed.
Okay.
If they consume enough of it, you're getting symptoms within hours, right?
Okay.
But a lot of the eagles will be consuming micro amounts of lead. And so over time, the lead starts to get built up in their system. And, eventually they get sick to where they can't hunt. And so it can be a very long, drawn out, painful death. If, they're continually consuming these micro amounts of lead, which is usually the case. So it's not pretty. I mean, usually the people that find these eagles that are on the ground, but they can't fly and they kind of seem dazed and they don't really know what's going on, but the eagle doesn't look like it has a broken wing. It's mostly probably due to either rodenticide poisoning, which has a similar effect, or lead poisoning. And, and to your point of, people just wanting, people aren't out to try to like kill these animals. Very similar situation with like rat poison and mouse poisoning is a lot of people don't know that rat poison is like something that kills the mouse very slowly. So the mouse eats the poison, wanders outside. Owl sees, oh, easy meal, sick and injured mouse, eats the mouse, owl gets poisoned, right? Most people don't know that, right? They don't know. Like it's a heavily advertised thing to us as people. And so they just don't know that like you just killed the owl in your backyard or, there's been a lot of terrible cases of these like nest cams for owls where this nest has been here for years and years and just one person using rat poison kills the whole family, right? And it's very tragic. And so it's just about educating people. I specifically remember I did a program where I taught people about this, and this kid ran home to his parents and told his parents this. And I saw this kid the next day, and he came up to me and he's like, my parents like immediately changed. Like they just didn't know. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like just people don't want to kill animals most of the time. Right.
So what do you recommend for mouse? Is it just live traps? Is that what you do?
Yeah. Live traps. We usually suggest that if you really if you really want to kill the mouse, snap traps, right? Okay. That's my next suggestion. Don't use glue traps. It has a similar effect of it catches things that aren't intended to be caught. So, snakes, which are really important to the environment. A lot of times the really small owls that are like this big can fly into a glue trap and get caught, which is also not not a pretty picture
Oh,
for
like
them.
they'll see the mouse struggling in there, they'll go for it, and then they'll get trapped too? Okay.
Yeah, that's how most of like the snakes get caught in there too, is the snake is like, oh, this is great. There's a free meal here. And then they get caught. So we just tell people no glue traps and, no rodenticide. And if you want to get a live trap, you catch the mouse live, just make sure you take it, pretty far away from your house, because mice are pretty intelligent and they can find their way back in.
Just like drive it out to the country and let it go on a farm road.
I would let it go in the middle of a field and watch the birds go after him.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Well, that's usually what I say is like, it's a win-win. Well, except for the mouse. But
well, the mouse might get away.
Yeah. It's fair.
Exactly.
If not, a falcon gets a meal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, these are all amazing points. And like Joe and you said, I would say probably the vast majority of people all want to protect these animals, like want clean drinking water, conserve the forest. But I think it's just an ignorance. Like I didn't know, I wasn't connecting the dots with the lead from hunters and like eagles eating the remains that people are just chucking in the woods. I mean, I think it's just.
Yeah, I always heard you don't want to shoot them with lead because if you're eating the meat, you might get lead in your body. And I didn't even occur to me.
Yeah.
And it should have.
Yeah.
That the stuff that we leave out there, the animals eat, they'll also get lead in them.
Yeah.
Duh.
No, so yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah.
All right.
And like I've known too, living in an urban environment, about the whole rat poison thing, and not just the problem that you mentioned with it, but other people's pets can eat it and get sick.
Yes.
And or tiny kids can get into that
So
stuff.
we're pissing off Monsanto and the Batsner guy.
Yeah, the professional exterminator people. But no, these are all amazing. I mean, it's great you're out there doing this. I feel like it's an uphill battle because I feel like a lot of people just don't know most of this.
Exactly. And that's why we're trying to get that fundraising started and get as many educational birds as we can so that we can start getting out into the community and educating people, because every day that we're not telling somebody this, an owl or an eagle could be getting poisoned, right? Even if you get together in a classroom with 25 people, not only do those 25 people learn what to do, but then they're probably going to go and tell their friends and family. So you're really reaching like twice as many people in one singular setting. And, we have these goals of wanting to do these really large community events. So you can reach like thousands of people. And again, these birds are so important in the process because they're what captures people's attention and helps connect people. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about as a trainer is, you have these birds who can't be released into the wilds. And so they educate people. We're completely choice based, so we train the birds to want to go on these programs, to want to be in front of people, and they get rewards for it. And I'm very passionate about teaching the birds to do natural behaviors for people. So a lot of times facilities will teach these educational birds to fly back and forth across people's heads, demonstrate like that hovering technique, so people like see that live. And they're like, whoa, like they have the same reaction you guys did of like, that's incredible. I want to help protect this bird. And so the bird, we do a lot of the talking, but really it's the birds, the educational birds that are doing the work and like inspiring people to actually want to do something.
Well, that's fantastic. And right now you're going to be talking to tens of thousands of people. So if that feels weird because it feels like just us three, but there's going to be a lot of people that will hear this. So how can we make this less of an uphill battle for you?
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in supporting Great Lakes Raptor Center, we are going to be posting our link to our fundraiser both on our Instagram and our Facebook. It actually should already be there. And if you go onto our website and you click the Get Involved button as well, that will take you directly to our Zephy account where you can donate. And so we try to make it as easy as possible to be able to donate, but you can kind of see, like, we've been doing fundraising events, we've been doing raffles, things like that. That's a perfect example of kind of the goal that we're looking to reach. It costs a lot of money just to even care for one bird. To put it into perspective, one rat can be anywhere from $1 to $3 per rat, and one bird is going to eat, one rat a day. Like if it's a medium-sized bird, like a rat a day.
Yeah.
So that can add up fairly quickly, and we want to make sure that we're giving them adequate space as well. And so we are trying to be able to reach that fundraising goal as quickly as possible. So again, if you go directly to our website, click the Get Involved button, that will take you to our donations. Or if you go on our Facebook, there will be links in the description and our bio for how you can better get involved and donate as well.
Excellent. And we'll share a lot of the links on our social media as well as in the show notes.
Yeah.
For sure. Real quick, completely unrelated. I do need to go back to this because I wasn't a liar. There has been reports of fake lions in Chinese zoos, most notably in 2013 at the, I can't pronounce it, zoo, where a Tibetan Mastiff dog was placed in the lion enclosure, discovered only when the dog began barking.
Wow.
Can we see this picture? Can you zoom up on this picture?
Oh my gosh. How do they not know that's a dog?
I don't know.
It's just, they just shaved it.
Bark exposes lying
sure
lion.
Don't.
Bark exposes lying lion
never...
at Chinese zoo. That's hilarious.
Oh,
Look at him.
That's weird.
Yep,
and he's like not in a nice environment either.
Nope. So
that dog is.
If you feel sad for that dog, donate to the Raptors.
You can't donate to help that dog, but you can help the Raptors.
Yeah, if we can't help the dog, we can still help the Raptors.
Yes.
You guys know those like old Humane Society commercials with like the black and white over the dog with like the sad music?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm envisioning.
I will say to anyone listening, because I actually... right after college, I volunteered at the Humane Society here in Milwaukee for a couple summers.
Good for you.
Hey, well, I like dogs, and I ended up getting a dog from there. But yeah, anyone that wants to donate, if they don't have money, you can always donate your time. They always need people to help clean kennels, or if you're lucky enough to have like a raptor rehabilitation place around where you live, I'm sure once you get bigger, you'll have probably things you'll need help with, maybe not directly involved with the birds, but like Humane Society, they needed people that did laundry all day long, just cleaning towels and sheets. And so, yeah, I just urge anyone who is looking for a way to help, conserve nature, find a facility like Jenna's or any animal or wildlife facility and see if they need volunteer help.
Absolutely.
And, I'll add to that as well. A lot of people feel like I need to give a big donation. Any little bit helps, right? Like 50 cents adds up when you're talking to many, many people. So, don't feel like you need to donate a lot if you want to donate. And if you can't donate, like you were saying, go volunteer somewhere, or even just like sharing, the share button on Facebook and Instagram. Even if you just share the post, like that can make a big difference as well. So people can do little things that make a big difference.
But like what, everyone
right now,
everyone listening right now,
heck yes.
who, everyone listening right now who,
there you go. Give your money. Share now.
That buys Starbucks every day. Maybe how about we do this? Everyone who buys a Starbucks every day, how about you skip the Starbucks for one day and donate to Jenna's Raptor Shelter?
I'm going to be donating. I'll donate my Starbucks.
Starbucks are what? I haven't bought a Starbucks in
like $100.
Yeah,
for a lot of milk.
Like $5 for a medium coffee, and I would know this because sometimes I'd be going.
Yeah,
yes.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, a couple dollars even, people just blindly spend that on coffee in the morning,
Ooh, and you can win hold on. Not only are you donating, there's prizes with your donation.
Yeah, so you guys, you just shared one of our raffles. Actually, we were doing a raffle. But if you go to like the Great Lakes Raptor Center, Zeffy, you'll still be able to, if you don't want to enter the raffle, you you can just donate.
Okay.
Like if you click the donate button up there, yep, that should just bring you to the Zeffy, and that's just kind of the regular donation site. But we ran a raffle this week with a tattoo shop, which was very cool.
Awesome.
And they could either win, a certificate for a tattoo, or we were also auctioning off a big print of an owl as well, which was framed and very nice. But yeah, there's plenty of ways that you guys can get involved. And, at the end of the day, if it's like, I hate raptors, you don't have to do that either.
Who would ever hate it? They're so cool.
I know, right?
How could you hate
Did
them?
you see that bird just hovering with his
I know.
head not moving? If you hate that, you need to go to China and fake lions.
Yeah, with the fake
or
lions.
something.
I don't know how you can
Fake
hate
lions.
Yeah, raptors. They're so cool looking. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
I laugh at that joke too, because one of my board members literally just joked about taking my dog. I have a white German Shepherd Husky mix. She was like, you should start taking her to events, putting her in an owl costume, and putting up a sign that's help her retire.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
That's pretty funny.
She doesn't want to be an owl anymore.
Yeah,
It's
she just
the
wants to be
same
a
thing.
dog. She wants to be a dog again. Give us your money.
That's funny.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, Jenna, thank you very much for coming on the show. I'm definitely gonna be donating. I'm not gonna do it live on the air where I have to put my credit card number in so everyone can see.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely be donating afterwards.
And we should we'll check in. We'll have to do this periodically. Check in with you to see how everything's going and how you're growing. Because I think you're doing something really cool, and I think everything you're talking about. I think a lot of people like the conservation aspect, but people don't know it.
Yep.
I think if people knew it, they would want to protect them.
Yeah. So thanks for calling into the show.
Yeah,
That's how we
thank
found you. We heard your voicemail.
Absolutely. And I'll be fully honest with you guys. I have never geeked out so hard in my life when you called me. I've been acting cool, but I am such a huge fan of the show. And when I called in, I was like, no way that they're going to call back and going to want us on the show. And then I got your voicemail and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I just I just listened to your latest episode, and announced to me, you guys were like, oh yeah, Raptor person, we're going to call you soon. And I was like, what?
I'm glad you didn't listen to it right away because it did take me a few weeks.
Yeah.
I'm a little
That
slow
is
sometimes in the uptake.
Yeah. It's,
I didn't I had no idea you were going to call because I hadn't listened to the latest episode yet.
Oh, that's perfect.
So I didn't know.
That's awesome.
But I love your guys' show so much, and I think that you guys do a really great job. And anyone that gets mad at you for mispronouncing names can suck it.
they can go to China with the dog.
Yeah, they can go to
lion
China.
dog.
Yeah.
The dog. That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
and these are these same people.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for calling in so that we could help you spread the great word about Raptors. And I hope we can make it a little dent in your fundraise. I really hope we can.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys, and we'll stay in touch for sure. I'll keep you guys in the loop.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks.